Hello everyone! Hey, Mike Phillips here. It is time for another episode of The Front. It's a live leadership lesson right now, and I've got a very special guest with me today. So right now, what I would like to do first and foremost, just remind everybody that you can check out the website at leadtheteam.net for free sales training, for motivational content, and for leadership tips. And if you would, cruise on over to leadtheteam.tv, subscribe to the YouTube channel there, make sure you hit the little bell notification icon so you get notified every time that I go live and upload new episodes. So we're going to go ahead and get into the show right now, right after this.
Thanks for tuning in to Lead the Teams, The Front.
Yes! So we are live here on Live Leadership Lessons. My name is Mike Phillips and I will be your host, and I am here with Miss Bobbie Herron of the Bee's Knees Agency. Bobbie, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic, Mike.
I am fantastic now that we've got this stream going. So this is kind of an experiment because Bobbie and I are going live. We're on a couple different platforms. So whatever platform you're joining us on, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. And I'm going to dive right into some questions with Bobbie. She is an absolutely awesome individual. She is it like president or queen bee? What is your title?
President of World Domination is my official title.
Okay.
But, you know, I struggled with the title actually because people said, oh, you're starting an agency. Are you the CEO? Are you the founder? Well, that feels kind of crazy in the beginning. I love President of World Domination or Dynamic Change or Student of the Business. I don't really care what you call me as long as you call me.
Absolutely. And I've called you a lot the last couple of days to get this set up. So what I'd like to do, and I always start this off, we want to keep it to about a 20-30 minute episode. If it goes longer than that, that's certainly cool because I know you have just a wealth of information and knowledge to share. But do me a favor, give us a brief history of who you are and then what you're doing now. What does the Bee's Knees Agency do other than World Domination? Little history of who you are, how you came up. I know you're in automotive, and then where you're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I started in automotive when I was 17 years old on accident, like most other people. Kind of tripped and fell into what was the beginning of Ford's BDC program in a dealership, printing out on the old school printers with all the paper from service and sales customer names that had come in, calling and checking on their experience. Before internet leads were a thing, I don't even think I had a cell phone at the time. They might not even have been available at the time, maybe like a flip phone. But right. I spent almost 20 years in automotive, 17 on the in-straight dealership employed by a dealer or dealer group side. Started out, like I said, working on some kind of BDC stuff. I've been a salesperson, a sales manager, a general sales manager, a general manager, a director of digital, a marketing director, a BDC director. I mean, you name it. I've swept floors. I've been a porter. I've done all of it. And I moved through the business, not job jumping, which is something I'm really proud of, but instead moving up. And it was never because I was amazing. It's because I really believe in great leadership and building amazing teams. And so I've promoted through the industry doing that. And 3 years ago, I exited being employed by a dealer. Like they wrote my check. I still work for them to this day. But I exited the dealership role while I was with Garber Automotive as an executive leader in their company, overseeing all of the dealer operations across the country for 19 franchise stores, 32, I think we had at the time, B-lots or independents as we call them, and doing digital sales and marketing as the director for the company, and moved into a role with Zima Automotive to help build and oversee their consulting division, including the Cardinelli Auto Group, which is #1 Ward Z dealer. Not to say that happened while I was there, but oh yeah, it did. And so a little over 7 months ago, I launched my agency, which is marketing, training, and consulting. And we do across the board, jack of all trades, everything. I employ an amazing team that is experts. I hate that word, right? We're experts, but it's the truth in each field, right? And so that's what I do. I work on world domination with dealers every day and help them to make better marketing decisions, to train at a higher quality, and to consult on operations so that they're working on leadership and that we're building amazing teams across the board.
Cool.
It's really fun.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, what is, because you have a bunch of different titles that you've had over time. What is the cool? Now,
Yeah.
don't give me the world domination one. I know what you're going to try and say. What is, in all seriousness, what do you think is the coolest title that you've had in your time in automotive?
Yeah. So not to sound cliche, but my best title has been a leader across the board in anything. My coolest job description, what I've
Yes.
gotten an opportunity to do, would be the digital sales and marketing director position for Garber Automotive for such a massive group, to be
Okay.
able to touch the hands and the lives of everybody in all of the dealerships across the country and be able to do so many things. I like to win and I like to help people win. I'm super competitive.
I know
So
that about you. I've learned
yes.
that. Okay. So, what if there was one thing that you would say of all the different people that you've worked with, and I know you've worked with some hitters, of all the people
Super
you've worked
blessed.
with, the people that you come in contact with, what would you say if there was one thing that Bobbie Herron is known for? What would you say that one thing is?
Results. No, I mean, obviously, but known for, I think I'm known for fighting for the dealer. I think I'm known for reviewing things that need to be analyzed in operations overall, and then coming up with strategies that win and executing them. If you ask my friends, my colleagues, or my peers, I think they would tell you it's buy-in.
Okay, so buy-in would be the biggest. You said buy-in, or what was the? You said one before that. You said it was results, right? So
Results.
results, and buy-in, those two go hand in hand. That's a good because if you get
Yeah.
buy-in from people, you develop results in their facilities, in the dealership, or in any business, right? So,
Right. Well, I mean, what happens a lot of times is we look at something, right? So, especially in a dealership, this happens a lot. We'll promote somebody from within and we'll teach them how to, think about a manager for a minute of a
mhm.
desk. We'll teach them how to desk a deal. We'll teach them how to order cars from the OEM. We'll teach them how to sell back end products, but we forget to teach them how to be a real leader with other people. And that means creating a real strategy with a real goal in mind, creating buy in, and getting results and celebrating the win together. And we forget those parts of it. And I love those parts of it.
So when you're saying creating a real leader, if you're creating a leader, what would you say are the top three characteristics, three things that you say define leadership? If you have someone that is mentoring somebody else, and you say, hey, look, while you're mentoring this person, here are the one, two, three, maybe four things that they have got to develop so that they are in a leadership role and not just somebody who carries a title.
Yeah. Well, there's probably 20. I'll tell you the number one most important thing is that when we promote somebody to a leadership position, I don't care what business you work in, whether you clean floors, you're an aerospace engineer, you work in a dealership, the biggest thing that happens when you become a leader or a manager or a boss, whatever word it is that we're negative or positively connotating to,
Sure.
is that you're no longer judged, or your results are no longer based on you, right? For our whole lives, we're taught from the minute that we enter school that not to think outside of the box, to follow the rule because somebody said so. Then we're taught to be able to win for ourselves. But nowhere, unless it's intentional, are we taught how to take a result that we're able to achieve and transition that into another person. Because now, once you become a leader, your results don't matter anymore. The results of your team do. And people will work for you because you said so, and they'll do what you want them to do because you said so, but they won't do it at 100%. They will not give you their all unless they believe that you have genuine care and that you can inspire them. So I tell all new leaders, invest in yourself if your business isn't, and make sure you know how to transition that. Let go of control. That's number two. Let go of control. If you control everything that's happening, you're not going to be able to pass that on to somebody else. Everything that you know, there was a time when you didn't, and you had to learn it, and you got this good. And your team, they can get this good too, but not if you're doing everything for them. Love them enough to hold them accountable. When you create a real strategy with a real goal, help them win, and love them enough to hold them accountable. And the last thing I think for a leader, and there's a million, and this one's a big one to me, learn how to coach or terminate somebody with grace. Stop
Yeah.
being disgraceful to people that you let go, and instead know that if you're making a change in a position for somebody, whether it's their fault, your fault, or the world's fault, it doesn't matter. Set them up for success in the next position. They're people too. And I think that's important.
No, absolutely. I think those are awesome. Sometimes I miss the transition. If anybody's watching out there, the only reason I miss the transitions because I always take notes. That is my ulterior motive as I interview awesome people like you, Bobbie, is so that I'm learning more about the psychology of leadership and people that have come up also. And I really do. I take notes and then reblog it. So a couple of things that you hit on that I absolutely love, and I'm going to recap them. You had said caring, genuine caring, I think is massive when it comes to leaders. They have to care about others, not themselves. Yeah. So many people, I agree with you, I think they get into that leadership role and they think, well, now I have the title, so now it's like the golden ticket, right? And they think because I made the title, now you have to care about me. And they've got it backwards.
Yep.
And I think that's a really good statement. And I do think,
when you're a leader,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You have to serve others. Yeah, I think I have just a little second delay, apologize.
No problem.
When you're a leader, you have to serve other people, not yourself. When it's just about you, when you have a goal to hit, when it's your result, when it's your job, and you're thinking about how you can win, it's about you. And it's all me, myself, and I. But when you have a team and you're a leader, when you're a true leader, you have to serve the people on your team in order for them to succeed. Because ultimately, that is the role that you've been placed into caring for a team of people, not into just some number that you're trying to hit or some job that you want a pat on the back for. You don't get a pat on the back. Your team does. And you need to be the one giving it to them and then loving them enough to hold them accountable when they're not.
Absolutely. That's awesome. The other thing that I really liked was when you said you got to let go of control. So many people, not just leaders, but they have a tough time with that. I know I have. I mean, if they had watched you and I interact or the texts between us, even right before this episode, it's hard to let go of control and just I say, let go and let God, like you have faith and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You said, as we were coming on, you said, well, somebody's looking out for us. It's the internet gods. It's the God, whatever it is. So I'm going to move to a few leadership questions because you did an awesome job of promoting this event when we were talking about doing this and going live together. And there were there were 3 or 4 questions that I picked from your fan base or your audience, whichever we'd like to call them, that I want to ask because I think these were really good questions. And I'm not going to ask these necessarily in order. So, but one of the questions that someone asked, I think it was Andrea, said, what is the right time to move out of a dealership and follow another passion? And I think that's a really good question to ask for you right now because you are following your passion. So how do you gauge what's the right time to move out of a dealership, follow a passion that somebody's got?
So I always think this question is so interesting. And I hear it a lot, and I'll tell you, for the people that are watching that, it was an easy decision for me. It wasn't. I 3 years ago wanted to jump out and do this on my own. And just like everybody else, I was like, man, I think it'll go great. I know it'll go good, but will I have all of the tools I need to help somebody else be successful in what I want to do? And ultimately, what I learned is to be a really good leader, you have to be willing to take a risk. So if you really look at what you're doing and it's for the right reasons, it's not because you just left a conference and you were inspired and you feel like your store is unfair. It's not because you had a goal you couldn't hit, but you have a bunch of excuses and blame for other people. It's that you've actually really calculated the opportunity versus the risk. And for you, it's the right time. Timing is everything. Timing is 100% of everything. And if you look at it and go, it's worth the jump, and I have the risk there, fly, baby, jump. Just make sure it's not going to come at the cost of your family. I wanted to start much earlier, and I was going through a divorce after being with my children's father for 17 years. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it and went, if I fail or if it takes longer for me to succeed than I believe that it will, am I in a financial position to be able to securely help my family for at least 90 days? And I went, maybe not. And I waited. It didn't take me 2 years to get to 90 days, but by that time I realized maybe I wanted 6 months in my pocket before I had to worry about that. So calculating a financial risk, as well as the reality of, are you leaving for the right reasons? Even if you're going dealer to dealer, like you're moving from one dealership to the other,
Sure.
is it that the grass looks greener on the other side because you didn't water it? Did somebody put some sod down and trick you? Like, do your research and don't make reactive decisions. Be proactive in major life decisions, and you won't regret them.
I think those are both really good pieces of advice. The financial portion, because I think that's something people don't truly consider. They say, hey, I'm passionate about this, so no matter what, it's going to work. But I think the fact where you're sharing and you're saying, hey, no, I'm really slowing down, and there is a financial aspect. I mean, it might be different if we were, you know, I know a lot of the circle that you and I are in, so to speak, in automotive. We have, you know, there's what would be considered middle-aged, 30s, 40s, that, you know,
Yeah.
50s. And so it's like you have to look at the financial part. It'd be different like if someone was asking and they said, hey, Bobbie, I'm 19 years old and here's what I want to do. Well, I mean, pack your stuff. Everything you own can fit in the trunk, right?
Right.
But
Right.
I think that's really valid. And then the grass is greener philosophy. And I've heard that before. And one of the interesting things, and I've compared it to, is it's like, well, you look on the other side, you look over here and you go, man, it looks green and everything looks fantastic. And then all of a sudden you jump the fence and it's like, oh, it's fake grass. What happened?
Right,
Right?
it's not real.
It's not real. So all of a sudden people realize that it's like, oh yeah, it looks really good from afar, but once you're in it and you have to worry about nurturing what is that lawn, it's like, well, I don't even have to do anything. It's going to sit there on its own. And how much are you really growing through that? So I'm just looking at a few of the comments. Matt Raymond, he says, 30 is not middle-aged, Mike. Hey, listen, I'm getting up there. I don't know. I'm considered middle aged, so Matt, we could debate that, right? Patrick says taking a risk is totally different than making calculated choices, and I think that's a really really good point. I want to scroll up here. Dan Moore says the circle. Wow, it is the circle. Dan Moore's in the circle. Yeah, Dan Moore's in the circle of trust for sure. So.
Oh yeah.
Here's another one that had come off of Facebook. I think Patrick might have asked this one. Said, what is the best strategy to get a one-track mind general manager to open up and try new ideas or processes?